Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, classmates. So today we are going to tackle about the criteria in choosing appropriate assessment tools. Assessment methods. Assessment methods are the strategies, techniques, tools, and instruments for collecting information to determine the extent to which students demonstrate desired learning outcomes. So in other words, it is a description of how and when the assessment tools will be used to assess the outcome. As a future teacher, we need to select various of tools to assess student achievement in the target learning outcomes. So it also involves a process to obtain information. And according to Merins 2001, as cited are in McDavid and Gibson, in its broadest sense, the purpose of any assessment is to gather data to facilitate decision making. So in other words, it is to determine students' interest to make judgment about the learning process. Since we are familiar about the use of assessment as learning and assessment for learning in measuring knowledge, comprehension, and other thinking skills in the cognitive psychomotor or affective domains. These are the following we considered in choosing appropriate assessment tools. So the first one is goals of assessment. So goals of assessment, it involves the complex learning and the desired result that must be caused in measurable terms. So the second one is the methods of assessment that classified into two, which is indirect and direct method. So when we say direct method, it is an observation of a student performance or examination of products in which they demonstrate mastery of specific subjects. So like for example, the examinations, the written assignment, the oral presentations, and the performances. So indirect method can provide a useful supplement and check on the findings from direct measures. So the following example are the student satisfaction surveys of student and alumni, students' participation rates, and the third one is the interval giving assessment. Teacher may consider in selecting appropriate assessment tools. It conventional or ICT-based assessment. So when we say conventional, is more traditional assessment tools to evaluate what skills students can perform with success. They are generally knowledge-based versus hands-on or performance-based. So we are very familiar about the ICT, no? It is involves the use of information and communication technologies. So it can be used to test many different capabilities and skills that are developed by the students. Creating and utilizing rubrics. A rubric is a set of criteria used to determine scoring for an assignment, performance, or product. So there are two types of rubrics and of methods for evaluating students' effort. It is analytical rubrics and holistic rubrics. So when we say analytic rubrics, it's describe work on each criterion separately. So it is utilized separate holistic ranges of specific characteristic, products, or behaviors. So it is based in written table form. So when we say holistic rubrics, it's describe the work by applying all the criteria at the same time and enabling an overall judgment about the quality of work. So it utilizes holistic rating for products or behavior, and the performance description are written in paragraphs and usually full sentence. Technology can be used for assessing students' learning in various purposes. So by using technology in managing assessment information, data can be presented in different ways to meet the needs of students, teachers, and administrators. So, an electronic examination, which is also called computer-based assessment, or e-exam, is a test conducted using a personal computer. So, computer-based testing is more efficient than paper-based test. Yes, because it is an individualized testing and has faster score reporting within few minutes after last submission. So like for example of our midterm exam, we can immediately view the scores on screen. like for example the Google form. Yeah, that's it. So computerized delivery of objective test has more advantages compared to paper pencil tests. Okay, so paper pencil testing is is the most common assessment procedure utilized by teachers to gather formal evidence about pupil learning. So then instruments refer to a general group of assessment tools in which students read questions and respond in writing. So this includes tests such as knowledge and ability tests, and inventories such as personality and interest inventories. So in other words, paper and pencil test assessment refers to traditional student assessment formats such as a written test, and also to standardized tests that ask students to use pencils to fill in the bubbles on a scommable answer sheet. Electronic portfolio. So it is known as a portfolio. Digital portfolio or online portfolio is a collection of electronic evidence assembled and managed by user, usually in the web. Is that it allows different access to different artifacts. So the user can modify the contents of the digital portfolio to meet specific goals. As a student progresses from a working portfolio to a display or assessment portfolio, he or she can emphasize different portions of the content by creating pertinent hyperlinks. There are 5 types of e-portfolios. The first one is ideal portfolio. So when we say ideal portfolio, it contains all the work of students. And the second one is showcase or professional portfolio. Demonstrate the exemplary work or skills of student. The third one is the documentation portfolio. So it involves a collection of work over time showing growth and improvement reflecting students' learning of identified outcomes. The next one is the learning portfolio. So these portfolios are typically created by a student as part of a learning activity as a way to demonstrate learning and the learning process. These portfolios are often shared with other students, elicit per feedback. So learning portfolios support the idea of formative feedback as an essential part of the learning process. So the last one is the evaluation or assessment e-portfolios. So it is generally used by instructors and educators where students provide work in the format of developmental or showcase portfolios. So to understand better what is an e-portfolio, so kindly watch the video. Thank you.
So what exactly is an e-portfolio? E-portfolios are personal websites that communicate and showcase skills, experiences, and learning. They contain diverse artifacts, such as documents and media. Also, e-portfolios contextualize artifacts for a particular audience, such as potential employers or graduate schools. E-portfolios are as unique as the students who create them. Here are some examples of student e-portfolios. Anyone can design an e-portfolio, regardless of major or technology experience. Some people misunderstand e-portfolios and compare them to online resumes, Facebook, or blogs. It's important to understand the difference between e-portfolios and these other tools. E-portfolios are electronic and contain both artifacts and reflection. Blogs, professional online sites such as LinkedIn, and paper portfolios only contain 2 of these elements. However, e-portfolios contain all 3. They're right at the center in the sweet spot. E-portfolios contain artifacts, which are supporting materials that showcase your learning. They can be nearly anything: pictures, videos, presentations, lab reports, and more. By including artifacts, you're able to communicate your skills, experiences, and learning to your audience. Now you may be wondering, why should I care? Creating an e-portfolio is a professional and educational opportunity where you can tie together your experiences, create work for a real audience, and showcase your skills. And e-portfolios can help you prepare for job interviews or graduate school applications.